My ex-girlfriend and I have a tween daughter. I wasn't ready to be a parent when she got pregnant, so I suggested either she ends it or she can keep the baby and I would pay child support, but I won't be involved in her life. She wanted to keep it, so that's what we did. About a year ago, I started to regret my choice and decided to contact my ex and ask to see my daughter. It went really well. She is just the sweetest kid. I started by visiting sometimes, but she wanted to see me more, so her mom agreed to let her. We slowly made it more, and now I have her every other week. The rules in my home and in her mom's home are very different, and it's made her act up a bit when she's with her mom. For example, her mom expects her to do her homework before she does anything else, and I expect her to have all her homework done by the time we want to sleep. I don't care when she does it as long as it's done. So now my ex is calling me an idiot and saying I'm making things harder for her, and I need to follow the rules. But I think she, the mum, is just jealous that my daughter loves me more. You are the idiot. You don't get to abandon the kid for that many years, then swan in and be fun dad to the detriment of your ex. She spent almost a decade raising your daughter on her own because you weren't ready, but now you think you're equal as parents? How do you think that sweet kid you met became so sweet? Do you think it might have something to do with the way her mother raised her and the rules she set? You coming back into her life should make things better, not worse. Yeah, someone's parents didn't make him follow the rules, and it shows. You've been a parent for 5 minutes. She did all the hard work, pal, so you need to have some respect for her. You gotta follow her rules at least for a while until the kid is old enough to figure out why the rules are different. Mom will always be the primary parent here. You made that choice for her. I think she, the mum, is just jealous that daughter loves me more. OMG, seriously, screw this guy. The audacity of men like him sometimes grinds my gears. I bet there's a lot more he's leaving out too. I feel for the mother. Left to raise a kid by herself, only for it to be ruined further down the line because of her soft heart and because she wants her daughter to have a relationship with her dad. OP is the example of, it's easy to become a father, but not everyone can be a father. Can't fix this crap. This is a human tragedy right here. Disagree. OP's not the idiot. Yes, mom had her for most of her life, but now they're co-parents. It's reasonable and common to have different rules in each parent's home. Everyone is so focused on the fact that he wasn't in his daughter's life. People are not considering how ridiculous it is to demand that the father have the same rules in his house as the mom. You know, if the roles were reversed, this wouldn't be a question. He's not letting his daughter skip homework, just letting her be more in control of when she does it. He's not doing anything unreasonable. OP, you are just as entitled as her mother to add input. My 31 male son is kindergarten age. About a year ago, my brother, 34, reassured my son that he could be the ring bearer at his wedding. This conversation occurred after my son heard my husband and me talking about our wedding and was very offended that he wasn't invited, even though he wasn't born for another 3 years after the event. My son really latched onto this comment. Now, all these months later, my brother has proposed and is planning a wedding with his fiancée. When I told my son that his uncle was getting married, he was obviously overjoyed and immediately bragged to his younger baby brother that he got to be the ring bearer. I heard the proposal news from my mom, and when I called to congratulate my brother, I also told him how excited our oldest was. My brother told him that his fiancée is pretty adamant about a child-free wedding, so his promise might not be possible anymore. This was obviously hard for me to hear. Not only would this break my son's heart, but this would also make my and my husband's lives considerably harder. We currently live abroad and didn't expect to find childcare for the wedding. Our only options now would be fly with our children and leave them in the care of people we don't fully trust, since all trusted family members will be attending the ceremony, or leave both children with a trusted friend near our home and fly to the wedding. Not ideal, since thanks to flexible work schedules, we were planning to spend a month with our families following the wedding. Flying in for the celebration, flying home to pick up our children, and then flying back is too exhausting. Then flying alone obviously isn't an option. Or not attend. My brother said he would try to get his fiancée to reconsider, but we spoke 2 nights ago and he said she's putting her foot down. Admittedly, I was hurt over this on my son's behalf. I told him we would still try to make it, but it was unlikely we could. I also told him that if he even wanted us to consider coming, he would have to tell his nephew himself that he was going back on his promise and why. My brother said it felt like I was issuing him an ultimatum and making him choose between his family and his wife on what's supposed to be the happiest day of his life, and that I was being unfair. I said he shouldn't have made promises he couldn't keep. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot, you summed it up beautifully. Your brother made a promise that got your child all hyped up, and now he wants someone else to deal with the emotional fallout when he reneges because it would be inconvenient for him to deal with it himself. That's an idiot move right there. It doesn't sound like the brother wanted the wedding to be child-free. It comes from the future wife demanding it as such. I can't call the brother an idiot over this either. His wife is raising a few red flags on this. Having to explain why he couldn't keep a promise isn't an ultimatum either. I fear he might become one of those guys who sacrifice their happiness for his wife's, no matter the cost. Honestly, if I were you, I'd skip their wedding. You and your husband can have a vow renewal ceremony instead with 2 ring bearers. Do something cute and invite close friends and family. Excuse yourself from your brother's wedding and explain the situation to your family. I agree, if you have a child-free wedding, then you have to accept people may not be able to attend. While I've seen worse reactions, OP's brother did not accept it gracefully. He should have said, "I'm sorry, I hope you can come, but I understand if you can't," instead of complaining about an ultimatum. You are the idiot. It's cute about your son dreaming of being a ring bearer before he was conceived and calling it bear instead of bearer. All cute. It sounds like your brother hadn't proposed at the time, did not have a fiancé or a wedding at the time, and made a comment offhand in response to hearing your son say he wanted to have been the ring bearer at his parents' wedding. It's fine for your child to be disappointed, but in this situation, I don't think threatening or guilting your brother is a good idea. Part of growing up and getting bigger is handling disappointment. I think you should manage yours and then work on helping your son manage his. Something about the tone of your post also makes me wonder if it's possible that, in fact, this is a bigger deal to you than it is to your son. My husband and I have 3 children, a 25-year-old female, a male teen, and a younger female teen. Our oldest moved out 3 years ago with her boyfriend and got an apartment. They'd been together 4 years before that, so it wasn't like she ran off with some guy she'd just met. We supported her decision. She was old enough and working full-time. The issue is rent in our area has more than doubled on average since. Their landlord raised the rent by 40% in 3 months, and they couldn't afford to stay there anymore. The issue is they weren't exactly swimming in cash before that. They don't really have enough for the first and last month's rent, and security with the market, not that there's much in their price range. They planned to move in with her boyfriend's parents for a few months while they figured stuff out and saved up, but they won't let her come with them. So they proposed an idea: she'd move back in with us, him with his parents, and they'd save up and be gone in 6 months tops. The issue is my husband and I don't feel that's appropriate. She's an adult now and she needs to learn to take care of herself, not rely on handouts from her parents. She offered to pay rent, but we would only do that if she agreed to pay the market average plus her share of utilities, which would mean she couldn't save up like she wanted to. Because we weren't doing that, she's been forced to share a 2-bedroom apartment with 6 other people, some of whom she finds sketchy. I feel for her, but I still think it's her responsibility. At this point, she doesn't call much anymore, and I'm worried this may have impacted our relationship. Am I the idiot? You are the idiot. She's sharing a 2-bedroom apartment with 6 strangers? How the heck does that work? You think you're teaching her a life lesson? What you're actually doing is abandoning your child and exposing her to harm. Worst parent ever, and it's showing the younger 2 that they can't count on their parents. I fear this ruined our relationship. It did. Congrats. Hopefully your other children wise up and see your cruelty here. Hope you and your husband don't need help when you're old. Sorry, Mom and Dad, care homes are priced at market value. Hope you can figure something out. You acknowledge that your daughter's landlord screwed her, then paint the blame on her for not being responsible enough, then ask if it makes you the idiot. Honestly, it's obvious why you're asking. You're trying to justify your position. You can't even justify it with yourself. But you still asked, so let me give you the answer you already clearly know yourself. Market inflation is pushing us rapidly towards a recession. The landlord wanted more money to combat that. That screwed over your daughter, and she and her boyfriend found 2 doors waiting for them back home. It sounds like you're doing everything you can so that your child doesn't succeed. It sounds like you need to sit down and take a long, hard think about what you want out of life. The road you are treading is a lonely one. Good luck with damage control. If she brings you any grandkids, you'll need it. To set the scene here, I'm a 55-year-old father of 4 and grandfather of 5. The pertinent ones here are my eldest daughter Michelle, who's 34, her husband Peter, who's 35, and my grandchildren Beth and Sam, who are a tween and a young teen. To give some context to the rest of this post, Beth and Sam are adopted and are black, whereas the rest of the family is white. The problem arose when Michelle and Peter finally saved up enough money to take their dream honeymoon, which they couldn't afford when they married. It was a month-long holiday, during which time Beth and Sam came to stay with me. Beth has beautiful curly hair and lots of it, which she obviously washes and maintains herself, but she's still learning how to do certain styles. I asked out of curiosity what kind of style she'd like to have, and she showed me some pictures of ladies online with very impressive braids. Now, I've been bald as an egg since I was 40, and the only style I had before that was a mohawk in my 20s, so elaborate braids are a bit beyond my skill set, but a co-worker of mine, who is my work daughter, often has her hair done in styles very similar to the ones Beth showed me. So I asked her where she gets her hair done and explained it was for my granddaughter, and she told me that it's actually her sister who's a professional braider and put me in touch with her. So I took Beth to her sister. She got some very cool braids with beads and a cute little heart pattern at the sides, and the sister explained all of the upkeep stuff to us and even gave the friends and family discount, which was very nice. Well, cut to Michelle's return, and she's deeply unhappy about me doing this. Apparently, she's always told Beth no to getting such braiding done because she believes that she's too young for it, and also because she says it's expensive and doesn't want Beth to get the idea that it's going to be an all-the-time thing. I've said I'm quite happy to pay for her to get it done as often as she likes because of how happy it made her, but Michelle is still huffy with me about it. Peter is siding with her as he says parents should be consulted about such things. But on the other hand, Sam is sticking up for me by saying that it's nice that I'm letting Beth partake in parts of the black culture she might miss out on in a white family, which wasn't even really an aspect I considered, honestly. I obviously am not happy that my daughter is unhappy, but I'm not sure if I really did anything wrong here. Help an old man out? Not the idiot, and you're adorable, but even though you're not an idiot, you have created a problem for your granddaughter. If her parents don't want to facilitate the further upkeep of the braids, they will probably have to come out. Maybe Mom had some points about cost and labour, so maybe you have to explain to your granddaughter that you didn't think this all the way through and that you learned something valuable here. The mom was offered by OP that he cover the cost. The mom is doing a disservice, and if she continues to find excuses to not help her daughter keep her hair healthy, which the mom could learn with the daughter and have a bonding moment, she will ultimately show her daughter passively harmful views. She adopted kids willingly, one with different needs, and is unwilling to learn to maintain that, which is not very good parenting. Agree, it sounds like the mom has never researched black hair care. I'm not even going to touch on the mom's weird claim that the child is too young for a hairstyle that's a staple of most black girls' childhood. Honestly, I have the uncomfortable feeling that Michelle didn't want her daughter to look too black or something. If I'm correct, that's awful and makes her seem insecure. Yep, sometimes white adoptive mothers of black children can get a little put out, possessive, and even jealous when the children start connecting with other black people or learning about aspects of their own black cultures. If this is what Michelle is doing, even if she denies it, you need to tell her to calm down. Beth isn't being taken away from her, she's just learning about her hair. I would continue to pay for the braiding so that Michelle doesn't have an excuse to pull Beth away from what could be a source of connection for her. My son's 4th grade class had a field trip to the Science Museum yesterday. I was asked to chaperone by his teacher. Sure, my nephew Alex is on the other 4th grade class and he has ASD. He does require a shadow, and unfortunately the shadow couldn't come because he was ill. I'm sure it was no coincidence that Alex was put in the group that I was chaperoning. I don't mind. Most of the time the classes stayed together. We saw an interactive exhibit, film on Pompeii, that was more like a Disneyland ride. Alex freaked out at the noise and smoke machine and was trying to hide behind the curtains. Finally, I got him and had to sit him on my lap until it was done. From that point on, he was quite clingy and I let him wrap his arms around me from the back. When we got back, another teacher, neither my son's nor Alex's teacher, approached me and said I shouldn't be affectionate with the students. The teacher was on the field trip too. I said I was his uncle and I wasn't being affectionate, I was calming him down. She said that it was still affectionate and not to do it. I told her to go take a hike, and if she has an issue with it, then complain to my brother and his wife or whoever. And just to spite her, I gave Alex a big old uncle hug in front of her before I left. This morning, I put him in a little headlock in front of her, and she pretended not to see it. I could tell my brother and sister-in-law and they go nuclear on her, but I'm not an idiot. Not only are you not the idiot, but I would escalate this to the administration. He has a neurological disorder and you were helping him. You weren't being affectionate or anything. That teacher has issues. Plus, they're literally what? Kids. Who cares if you did hug him? Come on, you're his uncle. You are the idiot, not for the affectionate care for your nephew, that was appropriate, but for how you handled the interaction with the teacher. Teachers are given extensive training about appropriate interactions in school. A teacher being vigilant of this is doing their job and should not be reprimanded by you or anyone else for being cautious. This could have been an opportunity for you to help educate them about support for autistic children, which could help Alex and other kids down the line. Instead, their takeaway is going to be a negative interaction with an idiot parent. Disagree. Why didn't she receive training for kids with autism? Why didn't she know who was responsible for this certain kid on the trip? Before I go on a field trip, I know who has special needs, significant allergies and things like that. I also know which parents come along. I ask colleagues if I need clarification or if they're from my class. If this teacher was responsible for everything that happened to the kid, why was she not taking care of him during his meltdown? Oh, right, because the school literally assigned that duty to OP.